Okay, so one of the weird things about this particular situation is that rarely do you see veterans really getting in super, super thick trouble when it comes to claiming disability benefits. Because, the veterans program, it's a little bit more lenient. Certain individuals can still work even if they have a percentage. They don't have to be 100% disabled to be found disabled, like in the Social Security Disability Insurance Program or the Supplemental Security Income Program. So at the end of the day, it's one of those situations where you just don't see a lot of veterans getting in the same kind of trouble that you do when it comes to Social Security disability recipients. Now, with that said, off the hot sheets of the Office of the Inspector General, Social Security Administration, Veterans Affairs employee charged with benefits fraud. Now, let's get into the thick of why this happened. This was released August 26, 2025. Albany, New York. Edmond Anadio, age 64, so not a young person, of Gloversville, New York, was arrested yesterday on charges of falsely claiming disability benefits. Anadio is alleged to have stolen almost $85,000 in benefits between 2021 and 2024 by claiming he was disabled, while in fact he was working full-time for the Department of Veteran Affairs in Albany. Anadio took early retirement from the Department of Veteran Affairs earlier this year. Acting United States Attorney John A. Sarcombe III, Amy Connolly, a bunch of other individuals, the U.S. Marshal Service effected Anadio's arrest and brought him to the federal courthouse in Albany. Anadio was arraigned before United States Magistrate Judge Paul J. Evangelista yesterday afternoon and was released pending further proceedings. Acting United States Attorney John A. Sarcombe III said Edmond Anadio had a position of public trust and was well compensated for it. He worked for the VA earning over $100,000 a year, but that wasn't enough. Well, to be fair, like $100,000 a year is like $50,000 in like 2,000 terms. So $100,000, when people are like $100,000, I'm like, yeah, you can't really even get a house for the most part on $100,000 a year at this point. So I don't know if I would sell it as like, but yeah, okay, fine. But that was enough. He also pocketed up to 30. Oh, I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. He also pocketed up to $30,000 a year in disability benefits. So now we're at $130,000. Now we're cooking. Now we're getting some money in there. Jeez Louise. My office has no tolerance for anyone who steals public money, let alone while also taking a paycheck from the taxpayer. We are glad he's no longer working for the VA and are prosecuting the case vigorously. Actually, I thought he was a veteran. Let me see if it says he's a veteran here. I'll have to look up the claim later. I thought he was. Let me see. Amy Connolly, special agent in charge of Boston, New York Field Division, SSA OIG, said, "We appreciate the assistance from our partners at the Department of Veteran Affairs Office of the Inspector General, yada, yada, yada. Federal employees are held to a higher standard of integrity, and Edmond Anadio violated that standard. Our office will continue to work with other law enforcement agencies and the U.S. Attorney's Office to protect the Social Security trust funds for those who truly deserve them." All right, got it. Christopher Alihari, special agent in charge of the Northeast Field Office, VA OIG, said, "This indictment sends a clear message to VA OIG that they will diligently investigate those who would misuse their positions of public trust to commit fraud. VA OIG appreciates the commitment of the U.S. Attorney's Office throughout this investigation and will continue to work closely with our law enforcement partners to hold wrongdoers accountable. The charges in the indictment are merely accusations. The defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. The charge of submitting a false application for disability benefits carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison, a term of supervised release of up to 3 years, and maximum fine of $250,000. A defendant's sentence is imposed by a judge based on the particular statutes the defendant is convicted of violating, the U.S. sentencing guidelines, and other factors. SSI OIG is investigating the case with assistance from VA OIG. Assistant U.S. Attorney Nicholas Walter is prosecuting the case. All right, so here's the deal. There was a person who very simply was working for the VA. I'm not sure. I thought he was a veteran. Now I'm questioning that. But I'll look up the case inside Pacer later. So bottom line was this individual was working for the VA, helping out veterans, okay? And then buy-in through that, applied for disability benefits through the SSA, and then was granted disability benefits and received disability benefits. Now, you might be wondering, how in the heck is our system not able to go ahead and figure out that somebody is currently working for the government while receiving SSA or SSDI benefits. And the reality of it is this. This is something that we would hope would never happen, because the whole point of regular civilian Social Security disability insurance benefits is that an individual basically is unable to work for the most part, or they're either so disabled they don't even check, right? That's an element 3 approval where they meet listing level criteria, or potentially, right, just to be clear, or potentially what happens is they will go ahead and, find them disabled at element 5, which means that there's no jobs in the national economy that they could potentially do. My whole point with this video is to kind of show you guys that no matter what, could be regular person walking down the street, could be a veteran affairs employee, could be anybody, could be somebody with a PIV card, But the bottom line is this person had, full access to information like the Citrix system. He had his own PIV card. He had all those functions. And still, even with that, even with his government position, still, even with all of that, he unfortunately decided to fraud the SSA. Now, a thing I want to point out, there's a notation at the end of this letter saying, this hot sheet saying, hey, defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. They arrested him. Okay, remember, let me go through that real quick. Okay, so Okay, here we go. Yeah, the U.S. Marshals Service. So the Marshals, they went and arrested him and brought him to the federal courthouse in Albany. He was arraigned before the United States Magistrate Judge Paul J. Evangelista yesterday afternoon and was released pending further proceedings. So, this was not like, hey, we're checking in just to go ahead and, see what's going on. This was, they showed up and arrested him and brought him directly to the courthouse. Sure, he was released thereafter to go ahead and, do stuff. But you have to think about the effect of being arrested, brought to the courthouse, and then basically have to decide how you want to proceed with the case. Because this was obviously an individual who, based off of the evidence they collected, warranted the amount of force of arresting him. That's pretty spicy. That's very spicy. So it's one of those things where at the end of the day, it's tough because we expect these VA employees, SSA employees, IRS employees, we expect them to magically not do the things that we see other people doing, but it still happens from time to time. And I think what's important here is that normally we talk about SSA OIG, and we just actually had, with the CDI units, we just in the prior video prior to this, had a prior employee to the SSA who basically was able to explain, the formation of the CDI units and how it was going and what was happening. It was really, really a great experience. It's then not a great experience to see that the caliber of employees at some of these government offices has really degraded to the point where we're seeing even the employees themselves are committing this fraud. And that's tough. That's very, very tough because at the end of the day, we kind of hope that the newer employees are going to live up to the character quality that we expect from a federal employee. So it's a tough situation. All right, now this is going to be a very short video because the next video we're directly going into is, you guessed it, to answer questions specifically about Social Security disability benefits. I'm going to go ahead and end this video shortly, but please remember to hit the like button. Please remember to like, please remember to subscribe. Head over to Google, type in Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida. Throw that up there. I love seeing those reviews with the stars. With that said, I will catch you at the next video shortly, and we will rock and roll from there where I answer questions for free. Attorney Walter Hnot, you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will go from there. See you soon, and we'll answer all your questions at the next video very quickly. All right, thanks so much. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.